So I lost the cover, but I'll tell you about it. So the cover of Unhinged, A Monkey's Tale, that's the name of it. It was just as memorable as the story inside. It was absolutely captivating. The cover, it featured a larger-than-life monkey front and center, like swinging into light with this like lush, vibrant rainforest in the backdrop. And the colors, folks. I mean, the greens were so deep and intense, they just demanded your attention. You could almost hear the rustling leaves and feel the damp earth beneath you and smell the tropical flowers, you know? The monkey, our hero, it was in mid-swing with this like infectious wide grin on his face. His tail was the star of the cover, though, I tell you. It was so wonderfully crafted that it was the first thing that your eyes were drawn to. It looped and it curled like it had a life of its own, just hinting at the shenanigans it would get up to in the story. But here's the kicker. The title, Unhinged, A Monkey's Tale, was written in this like playful, almost whimsical font. The cleverest part was how they played with the word tail. It was T-A-L-E, but almost also looked like T-A-I-L in some weird way. It was crafted to look like a tail itself. It was wrapping around the monkey and extending like off the page and around. It was such a subtle but ingenious touch. It perfectly set the stage for the tale. Yeah. Just thinking about it makes me wish I still had that cover. But the cover, I lost that a while ago. But the book I have. So let's start on page 1. Open the book. Click. So the text on the page. I guess I'll start all these with the text first and then the picture. The text on the page says, in a lush, teeming jungle, monkey swings, brimming with glee. Page, I'll describe the illustrations. They're really nice. If you visualize a lush green rainforest, there's tall trees that brush against the sky. The ground is peppered with blooming flowers. There's a tropical panorama, you know. And there's our little monkey in the midst of it, carefree, filled with glee, frozen, just like mid-swing. His brown fur's almost shimmering. When his eyes, they twinkle brighter than the stars. Bright, happy monkey. So, text on page 2. Well, let me describe the scene first this time. So, if you imagine this scene, high up on a branch, there's 2 monkeys. So our monkey is sharing just a beautiful moment with his friend Kiki. Their tails, they're just creating this perfect harmony of colors with each other. And smiles are lighting up their faces, and their eyes are just mirroring the joy of camaraderie. Oh, Kiki and monkey. The text says, and the reason I keep saying monkey is because that's his name. In the text it says, monkey and Kiki perched high, their tails mingling in delight. Here we go. Okay, folks, moving on to page 3. Page 3, text, says, oh no, a surprise tug. Kiki teeters on the edge. Okay, now, oh dear. There's a surprise in store on this page. Kiki is on the edge, about to fall. The monkey reaches out in panic, but his tail, well, that's the mischief maker, and gives an unexpected tug on monkey so he can't reach Kiki. The thrill. It's just palpable, folks. Believe me, I know what's coming. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Reading Corner. Hope you got your security blankets, because today we're turning to page 4 of our tale. Now remember, my dear friends, this is not your average kid's bedtime story. It's not even Goosebumps. This is more like Romero or Raimi. All right, now. So what do we have on this page text-wise, you ask? Well, let's get a good look. It says, monkey senses danger, retreats high, tail's mischief comes to light. Well, now let's draw attention to this illustration, because I tell you, it's the illustrations in these books that are just like crazy. So the monkey, bless his heart, is moving away. We see his back turned towards us. So like we're given a front row seat, watching his plight just unfold from a distance. And what's that? His tail is there too. It's curved toward where we last left Kiki, who is teetering on a branch. I can almost hear the leaves rustling under his hasty retreat into the tree. Well, so the monkey is now turning his back on the rest of the jungle and scampering high into the tree. That tree's got a sense of unease to it, I'll tell you. So our monkey's moving away like Ash in the Evil Dead, who gives that "I'm out of here" look. But it's like he's going into a different world altogether into this tree. In the backdrop, this massive tree like an entity unto itself, and the illustration has this peculiar sensation. It's like dark and mysterious and unsettling, kind of like the vibes of the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. It's just like this inescapable unease. My cat is playing with my book. Folks, the real showstopper, it's the one that like brings kind of a bit of a chill to the scene, is the tail. So, remember how the tail used to be all fun and games and swinging around? Well, it's starting to look a little mischievous, just a smidge sinister. It's like it's got a mind of its own, which isn't a comforting thought, let me tell you. Like, it used to swing all carefree in the first 2 or 3 pages, but now it's twisting more than the plot of an Ari Aster film. This begulist tale is a sinister force at play. It's like in Malignant. It seems to be puppeteering events, and it's a dark thought. It's that loss of self that you start to taste, which body horror is really good at. Well, before I extinguish our metaphorical campfire today, let's reread the text for the latecomers. The text says, "Monkey senses danger, retreats high, tail's mischief comes to light." Well, there you have it, folks. Page 4 of the story, our monkey's retreat. Tail's mischief comes to light. It's all getting darker out there. I tell you, I can't wait to see where the story is going to lead us. We'll meet again for page 5. This is your storyteller, Pleasant Screams. I am still trying to figure out where the best place is to put this book. But before we jump into page 5, I uncovered something kind of unsettling. Turns out that our monkey tail is not alone. I've been poring through the books and making connections. It's part of a series called Bedtime Bloodbaths, Children's Tales Turned Terrifying. It says it on the inside of the box, not on the outside. So each book in this series seems to be a gruesome nod to a specific subgenre of horror. And this first book, as I've been sort of looking through things, this first book is going to be knee-deep in the murky swamp of body horror. Now, if you're new to the term, body horror sort of explores our deepest fears, our anxieties about our own flesh and blood. It's a genre that just pulls no punches. It exposes our vulnerabilities, our oddities. It's sometimes repulsive. It's sometimes heartbreaking. It's always a little disquieting, and it strikes us where we are most vulnerable, in our own skin. David Cronenberg, and now his son, they're masters of body horror. So let's dive in. Page 5 says, Tails, playful pull, monkey flings, Kiki falls, oh, what a fright. Kiki's falling. So, Page 5's picture here lays out a scene that's, it's body horror. I mean, it's the beginning here. We see the monkey distorted like in this grotesque arc backwards and ripped from the tree branch by his own tail. And his own tail, what once was this trusty limb of his, has turned a traitor. And it's like in the art, the jungle fell silent, waiting for the drop to happen. The backdrop here is setting the stage for some impending catastrophe. The tension is high. So our illustration paints this picture that where he's all backwards, going down, just makes your blood run cold. It's painted with this bit of tension too, and unease. So it's this chilling spectacle, monkey grappling with his tail. He's like holding it. That's the essence of body horror, right? It's the flesh betraying you when your own body gets like rebels against you. Creep of a migraine or arthritis crushing your spine. Body horror is like that dreadful reminder that the worst horrors in the world might just come from inside you. So, I'll be back with more of this. That's the page on the next TikTok. Remember that the terrors are often a lot closer than you think. Stay scared. Try it on this side this time, see how it goes. Howdy, folks. Ready for another page in our grim bedtime stories? As always, expect the unexpected. Because we're playing on the field of horror today. And today, we're delving into page 6. The text here reads, Tension boils. Tails cruel tug. Monkey's flesh tears. Blood in sight. First mention of blood. Hold on tight. This is a wild ride. Because on this illustration here, we see our unfortunate monkey. And he's lashed onto like this menacing old branch, like his life depends on it. But his tiny little hands are clenched, tight. White knuckles just like peeking through his brown fur. But his tail seems to have a twisted mind of its own. Because his tail, he's holding on, his tail lurches right. Like all echoing like the unhinged movements that Angela has in sleepaway camp. This isn't a merry-go-round pull, folks. This is a ferocious yank. It's a raw, like ugh. So savage, it begins to rip from Monkey's body. Blood just starts to spurt from where it used to be attached. A gruesome reminder of the betrayal of the tail. And now we have the first seeds of body horror coming in, starting to sprout. Because this is reminiscent of like when in a Cronenberg film, when it seems a creature starting to transform, this tail is just coming off, and Monkey's eyes are just bulging in shock, like in that comical cartoon sort of way, and his mouth is forming this like silent scream, comprehending his bloody plight. Text again: tension boils, tail's cruel tug. Monkey's flesh tears, blood in sight. What will our monkey do in face of this gruesome transformation? Well, my friends, will find out on the next page. Stick around, because this journey into the uncanny valley of horror is only getting started. Let me explain the illustration on page 7. Our monkey friend, he's up there on the branch, now without his tail, staring up into the void in shock. And the tail is no longer just a tail, it transformed. And the back of this monkey is like a canvas that's been splashed with just too much red. And the bloody base of the tail, well, that's now a shape that's it's plain unsettling. It's the form of a face. A raw, torn base with blood dripping from the smile like thick red paint. Not a friendly grin. And the text? Tail torn away. Sprouts a grotesque grin. A ghastly parody of joy. Keep your courage up. Stay scared. On page 8, we're met with a grotesque series of images. Like comic strip panels were crushed by a jungle and nothing but their entrails were left on the page. So, twisted panels each unveil the mutilated tail, venturing forth without its monkey on some nightmarish odyssey through a shocked forest. With each swing from tree branches, the tail leaves trails of fresh blood staining in its wake. Slithering along vines, it oozes a viscous crimson fluid. Playfully, the tail probes at insects and flowers, leaving behind mutilated carcasses and crushed flower petals. The once vibrant backdrop of greens and browns is now tainted with a ghoulish, dusky red. Amidst this whole grim tableau, the text reads, Bloodied face ventures on, seeking friends in the jungle night. twisted visages, and sinister intent to come. Page 8 begins the bloody journey. Brace yourself. Stay scared. On to page 9. Such a contrast on this page between the macabre page that's behind us and this idyllic jungle in front of us. Beneath a banyan tree, there's young monkeys, and their furs all mottled in soft browns and grays, and they're engrossed in this little innocent game of tag. There's a sense of menace that breaches this tranquility as a tail slithers onto the scene, just a horrifyingly oversized and bearing a monstrous face just wet and dripping from its gory birth. The text says, "Young monkeys in a frolic, tail approaches, ready for a fight." Stick around, stay scared. Welcome back, friends. As we delve further into this nightmarish narrative, page 10 lies in wait like an unsprung trap poised to ratchet our horror to the next level. Envision, if you dare, the monstrous tail, merging with a troop of youthful, naive monkeys at play. Their harmless game of tag, once filled with laughter and delight, is now interrupted by the nightmarish entrance of the tail. It strikes, a whip slashing the air with deadly precision, lashing against a shocked, defenseless primate. Observe their faces. On the illustration, it's not just simple mass of shock, but a mosaic of reactions. Surprised gasps, wide-eyed astonishment, lips curled into innocent laughter, and a dark glimmer of creeping fear. They've seen the unexpected guest, the serpent in their Eden. The text, play turns fatal. Tail's strength surges. Game's end takes flight. A chilling caption setting the tone for the unforeseen horrors yet to unravel. The simplicity of the text belies the underlying dread, hinting at a grotesque twist in the tale. The beauty of this illustration lies in the details. Every expression, every reaction, every color and shade are brush strokes painting an imminent horror. The tail, striking with the ferocity of a predator, the monkeys caught in the maelstrom of confusion and fear, the transformation of joy into horror. Here, the tail acts as the wolfman in a flock of lambs. It's playing, yeah, but the play is dangerous and deadly. The tail doesn't know its own strength, doesn't understand the mortal consequences of its brutal play. So I ask you to imagine it. This once tranquil jungle turned arena. The game turned deadly. The backdrop of lush greens tainted by the shadow of our horror-filled narrative. A scene tinged with an eerie morbidity that continues to draw us further in, whether we dare to follow it or not. Quote, play turns fatal. Tail's strength surges. Game's end takes flight. This chilling testament to the unexpected reminds us of the terror lying in wait in even the most innocent of games. The story teeters on the brink of an abyss, poised to plunge into depths unknown. Ladies, gentlemen, people outside that spectrum and not conforming to it at all, we are just bystanders to this unfolding nightmare, helpless witnesses to a parade of terror. Remember, this tale is no bedtime lullaby, it's a siren's song, drawing us into a world where horror still reigns supreme. Let us turn the page, if we dare. And remember, as always, folks, stay scared. Well, folks, we've been through quite a twisted ride so far. Page by page, this story has gone from a simple jaunt in the jungle to a real nightmare. But we can't stop now. We're in the thick of it, just like our merry monkey and his now separate twisted tail. Let's push forward to page 11. Quote, play turned violent. The tail, an uncontrolled maelstrom, tosses monkeys askew. Poor little monkeys, they didn't sign up for this horror. They were just playing around. That tail, that whirling maelstrom, just tossed them around like rag dolls. Imagine the scene. The page is dominated by the tail. It's at the center, folks. It's whirling and twirling like some kind of grotesque cyclone. But you can see all it's doing throughout the time of this cyclone and little pictures around the whole page. Strength, Strength is more than anyone bargained for. Those young monkeys, they're just being flung around. I mean, they're practically flying, but not in the fun way, like a nightmare version. And their expressions aren't so much surprise as they are just scared out of their wits. I mean, you'd be too if you were caught in a life or death tornado, orchestrated by a friend, a creature that was once just a tale. It's chaos. It's just pure chaos. This tale, once a part of the monkey, once a source of joy and innocence, is now turned against them. Its strength, its gruesome transformation, it is now a harbinger of fear and despair. This is not a playground anymore, it is a battleground. And those poor monkeys there on the front lines against a force they cannot understand, a force they cannot fight. Folks, this is a grim tale. A reminder that even the most familiar, the most mundane, can become the stuff of nightmares. Body horror is a genre that will make your skin crawl, make you question your own self. That, my friends, is page 11 of our dark journey. Text again reads, play turned violent. The tale, an uncontrolled maelstrom, tosses monkeys askew. Stay scared. Welcome back, fellow thrill seekers. Let's plunge into page 12 of our bizarre odyssey. Now visualize this gruesome tableau. A dance of fear unfolds in the jungle playground. Our unnerving tale, with a mind and a mission of its own, crashes the juvenile monkey merriment, its actions mirroring a demented artist painting a masterpiece of horror. Look closer. The young monkeys' faces are a spectrum of reactions. A shared moment of surprise erupts into a Pandora's box of emotion. Panic takes hold. All the joyous laughter is choked into a collective gasp. Their eyes are a reflection of burgeoning terror. And adding gravity to this grim scene, the haunting text on the page, quote, game ends in dread. Young monkeys lay dead. Tale seeks more, unsaid. The playful symphony of the jungle now seems more like the eerie silence that pervades a graveyard. The narrative that unfolds is one of innocent play, warped into a sinister snuff show. Echoes the menacing tone of John Carpenter's The Thing without the Antarctic chill. Every line and brushstroke hints at the looming horror. The tale lashes out like a live wire, the very embodiment of rogue malevolence. The monkey's expressions evolve from wide-eyed surprise to the terrifying realization of the doom that has befallen them. The tale stands out as an agent of chaos, an unwelcome, unknowing harbinger of death like a marionette dancing to its own tune of destruction. Its mindless violence only heightens the sense of dread, an echo from its previous form when the monkey's tail first morphed into this monstrous anomaly. Let your mind paint this dreadful picture. A verdant jungle, now a theater of the absurd. The game of tag, once filled with jubilant shouts and laughter, morphed into a silent charade of death. The scene is soaked in an inescapable morbidity that gnaws at your nerves. Page 12. A grim turning point in this twisted tale leaves us with a chilling anticipation. As the tale continues its mindless rampage, we can only imagine the horror that might await. Not a lullaby that soothes you to sleep, a dark sonata to keep you wide awake. So brace yourselves, horror enthusiasts, for the grotesque tale has yet to fully unravel. Game ends in dread. Monkeys lay dead. Tale seeks more, unsaid. Stay scared, everyone. All right, folks. Let's dive into page 13 of our strange parody of a book. Imagine this. We stepped into a quieter, colder part of the jungle, and all those vibrant colors are muffled by the hush that's fallen after the massacre. The trees around us are leaning away from something, like they're recoiling, you see. And what they're leaning away from? Our tail. Friends, our tail. Remember that tail? That ghastly creature born out of a joyful monkey's tragedy? It finds itself alone now, right in the center of this strange quiet. It's curled up, that grotesque bloody face still clear as day, now shaped like a question mark. Even a creature such as this is capable of confusion, it seems. The silence is deafening. It's a calm after the storm, a storm that the tail itself brewed. Text on the page reads, "Loneliness creeps. Tail longs to return, hopes for a reunion, bright." Whew. Chills down my spine. Even in the midst of this body horror, the fear, the confusion, and mutilation, there's this undercurrent of loneliness. Our tale of horror morphs into a tale of loneliness. How haunting. It's as if the tale is questioning its existence, its purpose, what it's done. A question mark. And amidst the quiet, the wind rustles the leaves as if whispering cautionary tales to each other. It's a powerful image. An eerily quiet jungle, the trees afraid, pulling away from the tail, animals running on the edges, and there sits our tail, confused, alone, and longing. This children's book parody is no child's play. It's a raw exploration of what our bodies might hide, the repercussions of that reality just unraveling. Remember, my friends, what we have here is an homage to the good old body horror, rooted in the realm of the subconscious. It's about our fear of our vulnerabilities, our fears in general, our relationship with our own bodies. It's gory, it's unsettling, and it's deeply, deeply personal subgenre of horror. In the jungle of our story, we see a tail severed from its host, trying to make sense of its newfound existence. It might just be a body part, but my friends, isn't it also us, lost and wandering, seeking connection even when the world recoils in horror? That's a bit of body horror in itself, is it not? Hold on to your seats, brace yourself as we prepare for the next chapter of this terrifying tale. And remember, reads, "Tail finds monkey, lifeless, still. A poignant moment despite the plight." Unquote. Darkness shrouds this page in a scene of haunting beauty and profound sorrow. We find ourselves on a softly lit path winding through a dense jungle, twisted foliage, gnarled vines, giant leaves surround us, an otherworldly place where reality melds with nightmare. The path beckons us deeper, twists, turns, mirrors the arduous journey the tale just undertook to reunite. As we navigate this treacherous trail, the undergrowth on either side seems alive but warped. Above us, branches of towering trees form a tunnel, swaying, whispering dark, ancient secrets, hinting at horrors lying in wait. And there at the end of the path, barely visible but hauntingly present, we catch a glimpse of monkey, still. But our focus is drawn to the heart-wrenching centerpiece of this page, the tail's bloody face. Longing emanates from its grotesque features, a bizarre and chilling parody of dread. He sees the monkey. The expression, a mix of melancholy and horror, clashes with the monstrous visage before us. We're left unsettled and captivated. The body of the tail, though, holds vitality and life. Coiled and rippling, it seems ready to spring into action and leap toward the monkey. But the blood, thick, dark, dripping down the tail's length, pooling at its base where it touches the ground, because the tail has obviously been standing there watching for a while. Shadows stretch impossibly long from the tail's base, an eerie silhouette playing with our imagination. Jungle animals lurk in the undergrowth, hang from branches, watch with fear and curiosity, this silent chorus to everything. Amidst the darkness, a slice of sky appears through the treetops, casting a fading light, dusk, an ethereal glow. This page has a surreal quality to it. It's absurd. Keeps us constantly on the edge, teetering between fascination and fear. Quote, tale finds monkey, lifeless, still, a poignant moment despite the plight. This has been Bedtime Bloodbaths, children's tales turned terrifying. Stay scared. The atmosphere on the page is eerie. In the once vibrant jungle, life has taken a sinister turn. Picture the vivid greens now muted. The once jubilant hoots and hollers of exotic creatures now replaced by an unsettling silence. Page 15 plunges us deeper into the abyss. The monkey, from the start of this tale, you'll remember his joy, his vivaciousness, but this is no tale of joy. A shiver-inducing image greets us. Monkey, once the life of the jungle, lies lifeless and still on a gnarled branch. His deep brown fur dulled, his sparkling eyes dimmed. He's a stark contrast to the lively figure we first met. Enter Tail, having found Monkey on the previous page. Remember its bloody face, its gruesome grin? It now hovers near Monkey, its body language a shadow of its former mischievous self. A gloomy melancholy permeates the scene, Tail being a poignant figure next to Monkey's lifeless body. But wait, let us bring the words on the page to life. Quote, lifeless monkey, Tail's company, cruel dichotomy. A line that cements the horror unfolding before us. The tail, once a part of this monkey, is now an eerie companion to its lifeless host. It's a disturbing image, a grim mockery of companionship. The cruel dichotomy lies in their state of being. The monkey is devoid of life, and the tail, despite this monstrous metamorphosis, is now teeming with life. We came through the bustling jungle, the jovial primate play, and now we've journeyed further, witnessed the terror, and now we're left in a state of dread, a common path in the body horror movies. So as we close this chapter, remember the chilling journey we've taken so far, the gruesome transformation, the violent play, and now the grim companionship between a lifeless monkey and its wondrous, monstrous tail. There is more horror to uncover, more dread to delve into, but for now we pause, lingering in the eerie stillness of this grotesque companionship. Quote, lifeless monkey, tail's company, cruel dichotomy. Stay scared. Envision a heart-rending paradox, an unsettling spectacle amidst the throbbing living jungle. Behold the crimson, aware appendage, the tail, yearning to reunite with its forsaken form, its motion chaotic and meandering in desperation. The text on the page reads, desolate, tail abides with monkey, a macabre tableau of companionship. This scene, so vivid and surreal, paints a striking contrast against the radiant tones of the jungle. The grotesque transformation the monkey and its tail underwent is a testament to the macabre metamorphosis of flesh and spirit. It is a sight that elicits a profound sense of loss and confusion. Let me describe the tail to you. A creature evoking the essence of a monstrous serpent, its gory countenance a symbol of its cruel emergence, exudes an unnerving aura. The face, disconcerting and disorienting, emanates deep-rooted bewilderment, a glimpse into the abyss of its existence. Devoid of vision, the tail conveys a palpable sense of disorientation through its sanguineous visage, leaving one with a bone-chilling sensation. Hovering nearby, a tiny question mark on the page punctuates its inquisitive state, a peculiar and eerie representation. Despite its endeavors to reconnect, the tail's movements remain futile, fueling an unyielding struggle that beckons your empathy. It's a tale of innocent delight turned hideous, of a form rebelling against its own nature, culminating in terrible outcomes. Such is the page that indelibly marks our memory, a page of the unfamiliar, the grotesque, and the terrifying. Now, my fellow admirers of the ghastly and the grotesque, I implore you to stay with us on this hellish journey. Each turn of our page unveils a new plunge into peculiar bodily dread, where the eerie and the bizarre intertwine. Again, the text reads, "Desolate, tale abides with monkey, a macabre tableau of companionship." Stay frightened, my friends, for the horror that lurks in the depths of these pages shall seize your senses and leave an indelible mark. Stay scared. Imagine this scene. Forlorn setting, filled with sorrow. The once vibrant jungle now lies silent, as if mourning the loss of its joyous monkey. The lush foliage casts long shadows, creating a desolate, somber atmosphere. At the center of this mournful spectacle, we witness the ill-fated duo. The monkey, once bursting with energy, is now a picture of lethargy. His gaze vacant, his formerly glossy fur now matte and unkempt. A melancholic finality envelops the scene, a heartbreaking contrast to the monkey's former joy. And near the monkey's still form, the repugnant tail curls. Its ruby-red countenance might have once evoked fear, but now it only appears alone. Yes, folks, our tail figure, once a symbol of bone-chilling antics, now radiates a sense of desolation. They are adjacent, the monkey's motionless figure, the tail, so close that they connect. It's a light touch, a gut-wrenching echo of their former companionship. Despite the grisly circumstances, there's a whisper of tranquility, a tacit acceptance. For a moment you forget that this isn't a soothing fable. This is a narrative that feasts on the fear of the gruesome, yet a peculiar calmness captivates you. Page 17, it presents a somber symphony of lamenting kinship and eroding bonds, a harrowing display impossible to look away from. And here's the text on the page. Tale persists, kinship deteriorates in heartrending exhibitions. It's a grim alarm of the terrifying aftermath of our tale's ruby-red venture. So tuck under your pillow tonight. Remember, in this realm of bedtime bloodbaths, you must always stay scared. Go. Delving into page 18, the end. Time stands still as the jungle's rhythmic thumps return. Its wild tempo is contrasting with this motionless scene before us on the page. You picture it, nestled on a timbered ledge, monkey and his dismembered tail finds solace in the embrace of the primordial rainforest. Once full of life and joy, monkey now lies motionless, his form a shadow against the verdant jungle. His breaths have ceased, the playful spark in his vivacious eyes are now gone. Beside him, the mischievous tail, detached, reveals a disturbingly calm face, as if mimicking monkey's eternal sleep. Nature surrounds them, forming a protective ring like Mother Nature's gentle embrace. The colors soften, and the jungle's cacophony turns to a whisper. Dusk descends, casting ethereal shadows, shrouding the twosome in a solemn silence. A chilling sight amidst the teeming life of the jungle. Now, the written words on the page, eerily simple, capture the horror that we've witnessed. Jungle resumes rhythm, leaving behind a disconcerting tale of a tale. Take it in, let it linger. We've traversed jungles, laughed with monkeys, cringed at the grotesque rogue tale, and mourned a fallen friend within these pages of innocuous terror. Dear viewer, I'd offer comfort, but we are travelers in this horror-infused parody, bound to spectate and shudder. And as our journey ends, remember the imagery, the sense, the horrors, the laughter, the sad chilling end. And as we close this chapter, let the dread creep in, let it shudder through you, savor it, remember it, and always, dear friends, stay scared. Wrapped in the warm hues of a rainforest, where our protagonist, our joyous monkey, was first introduced. The deceptive innocence of the scene expertly undermines the terror that lays ahead. Then a harsh tug. A simple act causing a ripple of danger, a foreshadowing of horrors to come. The whimsical setting of children's story elements begins to fray at the edges, revealing the stark threads of body horror beneath. The ripping away of the tail, a once cherished part of the monkey's body, mirrors the cruel reality of body horror. The very structures that we identify with can become monstrous. As the tail morphs into a grinning, grotesque entity, we are thrust into the deep end of the body horror genre. The tail, both the villain and the victim, acts out of a desire to be free, much like an ailment causing harm unbeknownst to itself. The silence of the jungle, once teeming with life, echoes the loneliness that engulfs those grappling with physical conditions. As the tail, now alone, longs for reconnection, you too might yearn for days of a pain-free existence. The heart-rending tableau of the tail's futile attempts to reattach resonates the frustrating struggle against the irreversible nature of certain physical conditions. As we draw towards the end, with the tail and the lifeless monkey nestled together, we're reminded of the chilling coexistence of joy and sorrow, health and sickness, life and death. There's a reason that I chose this as my first subgenre, I'm sure. As the last image fades into a soft light, symbolizing a closure, remember, the tale of the monkey and his tail is not just a horror story. It's an allegory of our collective vulnerability, a testament to our resilience and a tribute to our unwavering spirit. Stay scared, but don't be afraid.